As we say, it's going to be the first time we're seeing him on a not Rumble or Lissandra, and on this tank, let's see how he's going to perform. Reignover is not going to have that same level of kill or damage pressure that he's had in previous games.
But by the same token, I want to see, because they talked about this on the desk, that Kikis loves these new junglers, and, well, this is a very new jungler. Nidalee gets locked in again. I mean, there's still time for it to go elsewhere, but that just does seem like the sensible position right now as they take that and the Leona away. Fnatic, back to them.
So for Unicorns of Love, they still have the option to put a tank in that top lane if they want to. If you combo a top lane tank with a Leona support, you've got a very beefy front line. It's also a very engage-heavy front line, something that Unicorns really like to do. It's then going to allow Vardags or PowerOfEvil to run whatever damage source they want. You've got a lot of AP magic damage coming from the jungle. We just saw Svenskeren destroying with that jungle Nidalee. So let's see how Kikis can perform with it.
We did forget that Rek'Sai was left up, though, and Reignover did not. So for his team, he picks up the Rek'Sai. Steelback will also be rocking the Graves this time around. And actually, Rek'Sai versus Nidalee, this is going to be an interesting early game jungle. Yeah,
so this is actually the first time that we're going to see Fnatic members on any of these champions. Steelback has run Sivir or Corki exclusively up until this game. We'll see how he does on the Graves. And of course, that Rek'Sai is going to make up for that lacking damage from the top laner. The one thing Fnatic are missing out on is their AP damage, and Febiven could fall back to the likes of a Xerath. He's done it exceptionally well in his 2 previous games, but I do feel Fnatic need to pick up a AP mid laner because they don't have a lot of damage. The only risk is you're picking that into a new Fizz who has also been tweaked in 5.2.
That is very true. So it's a bit of a risky thing all around. Now YellowStar hovering right now on the Morgana would be an interesting choice for the disengage and full engage potential there, but he's been liking the Annie a lot, even though there were some slight changes on this patch. We'll see if he goes with that. There's a lot of combo ability, and also, ooh, I want to see if they take this one. They do! It's LeBLanc for Febiven.
So, is AP damage not the champion I was anticipating, but I think a good choice. LeBlanc's going to do pretty well against this Fizz in the mid lane, on the assumption Febiven doesn't get aggressed on too often too early. He's got the ability to dodge the new fish. Fizz has been changed, obviously, with the removal of DFG, focused a lot more around hitting the target that's been tagged by Chum the Waters. It's plus 20% damage if you get caught. So that's what Febiven absolutely has to avoid. Also, PowerOfEvil is going to be focusing on trying to get those auto attacks down. But I think you've got a very aggressive setup from Fnatic once again. You can get picks from LeBLanc, from Annie, from Rek'Sai, and you've got a front line from Gnar. So they've got a tank in there, but I think they can still play in that same style that they have been doing up until this point.
Oh, well, this is a bit different. They're actually going to go ahead and send the Fizz top lane. And this is something that we haven't quite seen as PowerOfEvil takes the Ahri lock in. And this just made the game very interesting, QuickShot.
So if you want damage, you've got damage for days. Unicorns have options for what they wanted to run. You've got all of this magic damage, so if Fnatic able to get themselves a Locket, get themselves some MR up, it's going to play into their favor. The thing that Unicorns need to make sure that they do, though, is combo the damage from Kikis early onto PowerOfEvil and Chachi. They have to shut down Febiven or Huni so that Fizz and Ahri can continually pick off the fairly squishy team of Fnatic.
Yeah, of course, when your Gnar is your primary tank, it's always a little bit hairy when you got to make sure you time that transformation right. But this is the Unicorns that I think a lot of people were waiting for. This is the team that just decides to try something that's totally out of left field. The Nidalee has already been revealed, but of course, with the Fizz in the top lane, I'm really excited to see how Vizicsacsi does on that.
I think that's actually a very good point, because Unicorns have been playing fairly standard. If you look at their team comps and you look at the picks they're running, we haven't seen those crazy jungle TFs that we expected from IEM. But this top lane Fizz is going to be very, very fun to watch against Gnar. He's all in, he's got a lot of burst, a lot of damage, but he needs to avoid all of the harass that Huni's Gnar can put down while in mini Gnar form.
Indeed. Now, you've seen their picks. It's time to make one of your own. Tweet us at LOL Esports using the hashtag FNCWin or UOLWin, and we'll check to think who you think will win the game. Now, stage is set, the banners are lit, and the teams are marching onto the Rift. It is Fnatic taking on the Unicorns of Love for Game 2 of Week 3 of this spring split of the LCS. Here we go.
One thing that we have to keep an eye on is, for the time that Chachi decides to roam, when he comes down to do battle with Huni or even with Febiven, if you actually move out of range of the Urchin Strike from Fizz, the Q, the damage doesn't apply. It's one of the things that was modified on the most recent patch. So if Huni times his hop correctly, it could work out in his favor.
Now what is PowerOfEvil doing up here?
It could be a charming
play.
play.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
This is what I love about the Unicorns. Just when you think you figure them out after a couple of weeks, they do something totally different. And now Kikis is actually going to run full on into every member of Fnatic who are here, or having really none of this nonsense. Just looking to set up for some deep wards and potentially a red steal. So
we knew coming into the game that Nidalee's clear speed is actually exceptionally good with the new hunt passive on monsters. And Svenskeren was able to pick up first blood into Lulex thanks to skipping a camp and making use of all of the mobility from Nidalee. So let's see how Fnatic decide to counter it. They're not defending their own jungle. They've grouped up and they've gone on the aggressive in a bid to dissuade Kikis from trying to look for the early first blood.
Yeah, really no potential to collapse here as the bot lane is just there right now. So Unicorns of Love are going to have to seed this one over early on. A couple of deep wards in position as well. But Hylissang and Vardags are kind of trying to set up a little trap too, but they don't really know that the rest of Fnatic are all hanging out right there. So this looks like they're the ones running this side of the jungle for now as Reignover starts off the enemy red buff.
So I think this is actually very smart from Fnatic. They get the deep wards down, they start the lane swap, and because they've got the support of Ahri and Graves in that top lane, it's going to allow Reignover's Rek'Sai to have a fairly safe start to the game. I really like that because we saw in that previous game just how powerful early game Nidalee is. Now let's see if Kikis is going to respond by hopping across to Fnatic's red buff. It would be the logical decision because you shouldn't expect people from Fnatic to defend that unless they commit multiple resources.
Indeed, that is the case. Now Fnatic going to go ahead, teleporting Huni back to the bottom lane to start this one off. Lane swap situation, as you mentioned. Now, Unicorns of Love, from their side, I really want to see what happens in this mid lane with Febiven versus PowerOfEvil. This is a little bit more of a matchup we might have expected to see, but PowerOfEvil has really been the heartbeat of this team as far as wins and losses go. He's unkilled in their 2 wins, 15-0-13. But in their losses, only 6-5, or 6-4-5, excuse me. So he's really kind of been an indicator of how well this team is doing.
Yeah, and I think, with PowerOfEvil, he's an exceptionally talented player, but sometimes the games just haven't gone their way. So Huni is going to be under threat of a dive. He's going to have the support of YellowStar, but I think this is risky if he decides to stick around. And he is deciding to stick around, so let's see how Huni manages to play this one out. The minion wave's about to get there very soon. Yeah,
this is a little bit dangerous now with the proxying Vizicsacsi trying to push this one away. YellowStar can't really get too much involved in this one, and actually they're just going to start pecking away at the tower. Kikis actually moving around. They're going for the dive now. Not going to be able to get any hop away. It looks like he's going to try. Exhaust is down on Kikis, and they actually just decide to bail out. Hylissang nearly being taken down, and that was not the kind of dive you want to do.
So well played by Huni, putting himself directly in front of the attacking champions, and then that just allowed him to hop over them, get all of that range. Not even a flash burn from either YellowStar or Huni. They did use an exhaust, but I think that was a very well executed dodge, and they handled the dive very, very well. Keep in mind that Kikis is still down a buff. He did not actually challenge for Fnatic's red buff, so he's working only with that blue and has not been able to get his second sort of major jungle camp.
Yeah, hasn't really been able to make the same kind of impact that we saw Svenskeren do last game. Of course, this is a very different opponent they're facing down right now. YellowStar going to get a little bit of deep ward of his own, but they're roaming around quite effectively here and keeping Unicorns of Love on their toes.
Huni actually jumped on Vardags. Vardags down to like 250 HP. I think keep an eye on how these CSs are shaping up. Because of the fact that Huni's been given a very massive wave, who's shoved into the tower, he's picked up a couple of last hits. He's farming quite effectively. They're jumping on Steelback.
Yep, they are indeed. But Steelback is able to throw down the smoke screen, cover his escape. Kikis, though, nearly landing a spear onto him will force him back. And you see that fan vote. Fnatic still winning that one, but not by as much as they have in the past. And Steelback, he is in some trouble. Dashes out of harm's way as Unicorns of Love again try, this time a little bit less heartedly, for a dive.
Yeah, I think that was quite smart. Unicorns of Love had not seen Reignover's Rek'Sai since he left the mid lane fairly recently, so a little bit risky if they wanted to go for it. And also, Steelback with Flash and Summoner Heal, it's always going to be very difficult to dive. So Fnatic doing well. CS advantages all across the board. They're off to a good start, and they've, fended off the Unicorns of Love early game plan. Despite some damage in Huni, it's not really going to be a whole lot of threats.
And this is the kind of difference that we needed to see from Fnatic. A lot of people have been hyping them up a lot, but we've only seen really one basic playstyle coming out of them. Yes, they're still being very aggressive in the early game, but in a very different way. This lane swap, this dodging, jumping, kiting around, forcing Unicorns to try and get aggressive early. It just hasn't really worked out, but we are only 6 minutes into the game, so there's plenty of time.
We are, but what you're seeing from these first 6 minutes is Unicorns have been the ones trying to reply to Fnatic's early red buff steal. I think Fnatic understood the strengths of this Nidalee, and they opted to go for that very deep 5-man invade, keep all of their forces together in the lane swap, and they played around it really, really well. Unicorns have been reeling. They've not had that same sort of low-level impact that Nidalee could have, and their tower dive was thwarted. Tower dive top was cancelled. They decided against it. So Unicorns are just trying their best to stay relevant.
Speaking of tower dives, Reignover in prime position to be able to do something here. As Vizicsacsi backs away, he actually might run straight into it. There's the ward down. Okay. That'll keep him safe, but there's still some pressure on his tower here. Reignover getting a little bit of counter jungling done of his own. And they're going to just be able to push this one down, but there is Kikis. Reignover a little bit low, but they can't dive it in. They don't have the distance to close. No,
I think the response from Unicorns was pretty good. That's a good counter dive strategy, reading the map effectively and realizing that Fnatic were committing resources to that portion of the map. But what you notice is Chachi being left alone against Steelback's Graves for quite a while has hurt his CS. He's slowly clawing himself back into it. But definitely going to need to get a lot more farm under his belt if he wants to hit those sort of Lichbane, Hourglass levels of itemization and damage.
Yes, indeed. Now he himself is going to get left alone for a moment as you see Steelback making his way down to the bottom. CS pretty even between the two AD carries, a little bit of a lead here. Oh, Huni actually going to shove Vardags back in, although his armor is getting shredded down, but look at what Huni's able to do with this Mega Gnar. Here comes Steelback, collateral damage, not quite enough, and Vardags forced to pop both of his summoners to keep his ship afloat.
But he does survive, and that's going to allow Fnatic to get some pressure on this tower if they want to. I want to contrast how Fnatic are playing this lane swap in comparison to how SK play their lane swaps. SK traditionally push very aggressively, try to get their ranged support to get damage down onto the tower over and over. But this time around, Fnatic have opted into giving Steelback that solo lane experience and solo lane farm up until this moment. And you actually see YellowStar helping out Huni in the top lane now. He's responded, he's been moving around the map to where the threat might be. So Fnatic a lot more passive in their lane swap game.
They are indeed trying to figure this one out as Vizicsacsi tries frantically to defend his tower. It's going to be difficult to do between YellowStar and Huni shoving at it with a wave of minions, however.
Yeah, I'm completely proven wrong because Huni and YellowStar are going to get this tower. The moment we say they're not pushing aggressively, the limited wave clear from Chachi instantly forces that tower to drop. So actually smart play from Fnatic.
I think they heard you, man.
Yeah, I think so too. Like in the previous game, Jinx were given. Yeah. Talk about him dying and he gets...
within about 2 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, my bad, dude, my bad.
It does happen. But Fnatic, they've turned it up a little bit here now. In the bottom, everything's reset back to a little bit more normalcy, but Kikis is going to try to add some pressure here. He's going to be immediately spotted by that pink ward. He will get 30 gold for his trouble, however. That does mean Steelback should be safe enough.
Something that I really want to highlight is just the tunnel coverage from Reignover. It's all been up on that top lane. But look on the bottom, Kikis still sticking around. They're going on Steelback.
They found him. The Solar Flare is going to catch him, but Hylissang goes a little too far forward, and there is first blood with the collateral damage off of Steelback. YellowStar frontlining Vardags and Kikis away.
Vardags and Kikis just did not get the damage down, and Reignover, that squeal, maybe putting some doubts into Unicorn's mind. Just, again, well executed from Fnatic. They're responding to Unicorn's aggression and punishing them for the mistakes. Shock said it best. Unicorns have an on button, but they're still looking for the pause button because they need to hit that soon.
Or even a set of breaks for the most part. Now YellowStar is going to find Kikis. Fnatic, they don't need any breaks at all. Dragon is down. Kikis chased back to his tower. And you know, you had a really, really interesting point about the Rek'Sai scream. Because not only, that's a mechanic that you kind of consider to be like, kind of startling, kind of annoying perhaps as a player, but to use it in an offensive fashion to, they were going to try and get down there and close the gap, but to scare someone tower diving you away and put some doubt in their mind, the psychological aspect of that is really, really hard to understate.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's just one of those things where you as the aggressive player, you all of a sudden have to add extra factors into the equation when you're tower diving. Hylissang went way too deep, and that's why he gave up their kill earlier on. I do want to highlight that the tunnels, again, you've got these very defensive, very reactive tunnels in the top and the middle portions of the map for Reignover. And actually, if Reignover had a bit more of a defensive ward near the tri-bush of this bottom lane, he could have potentially jumped in with that rush a lot more efficiently. Febiven's jumping on PoE.
Yep, he does even out some of the damage he'd already taken, but actually, PowerOfEvil's doing quite well. He's got to be careful not to check into YellowStar, and he's actually moving directly for him here. The stun is up, and he immediately dashes away Spirit Rush. Not even close. That is a very mobile Fox, but YellowStar was within a hair's breadth.
Yeah, really, really close. The thing that's great about that is now Febiven's going to have the option to go aggressive, knowing that Spirit Rush is down. Yes, he's still going to get through PowerOfEvil's flash, but you know, he can chase it down with that LeBLanc, with the distortion and the Mimic distortion if he really, really wants to. Fnatic deep vision again into the Unicorn's jungle, getting all of the information that they need to work around this Nidalee, and as long as they don't get caught up by a surprise spear and pounce, they've got themselves this nice advantage in the early game, and they're playing the map very effectively for the time being.
Playing the map is really the way to put it. Now, Reignover, you mentioned his tunnel control. He's put quite a lot more on the bottom side, all pretty much throughout his own jungle. Hasn't tried to get too deep on this one, but Fnatic haven't really needed to go on the counter jungling path because they've been doing so well at just controlling this game. Decent lead built up for them. PowerOfEvil, though, there is an Annie spotting him out, or excuse me, a Gnar spotting him out right now. There we go, he's going to dodge it. Charm also dodged away from.
I'm looking forward to seeing this bottom lane for Steelback and YellowStar. They're actually not pushing the tower down, despite it being relatively low. 12 minutes. They don't have a lot of support from the rest of their team, but you can see them grouping up in the mid lane. So maybe the call is to go for the mid-outer turret. Fnatic, again, just roaming around. If you think about how much time has been spent moving through the enemy jungle and moving across the map, Fnatic really have been very mobile, and they're going to just get so much damage in this mid-outer turret here from the Unicorns.
Yeah. Bit of danger, though, potentially from Kikis, who starting to connect a couple of those spears, but he just hasn't been quite as effective on this Nidalee so far, and in the early game, that's incredibly important to try and make a difference. Reignover really a lot more mobility on that Rek'Sai.
And you have to go back to the level 1. Fact of the matter is, Fnatic stole a buff from Kikis, which he did not manage to secure himself. So instantly Kikis was down on experience, down on levels. Then they had that failed tower dive where they didn't get a kill, but there was a lot of time wasted, and Kikis has been trying to play from behind, really, the entirety of this game. So we need to actually see how he decides to play the mid game, because Svenskeren and SK were unable to successfully siege for an extremely extended amount of time, and we need to see if Unicorns can do anything different.
Yeah, Reignover here is actually defending 1v2 right now. He's got to be a bit careful, but Vardags just doesn't quite have the damage without that completed Trinity Force. It's been holding him back. Now, he's been doing decently fine in the CS department, but because of that failed dive, they weren't really able to get as much ahead as they wanted to.
No, and it's a non-traditional game. Again, you've now got Febiven in the bottom lane with the support of YellowStar. This is going to be a really interesting game to actually analyze and break down in terms of the movements and why and where Fnatic are continually swapping. They seem to be matching up the champions that are going to be more comfortable in the lane against their opponents. You've now got Gnar. He was up against Chachi's Fizz. He's decided to back away, and we need to see where or who's going to move up to that top lane to support. Whether it's just going to be Huni again, or if somebody else is going to pick up the slack, because Fnatic are just dancing around wherever they choose.
Yeah, it's a tag team game for Fnatic right now, and Unicorns of Love struggling to really adapt to it. They're usually the team that's doing something a little bit strange, but this is Fnatic showing a different side of themselves, and it seems to be working quite well. Few weaknesses in all of this.
So Dragon up in a minute and a half, minute 20 seconds. You can see Reignover's down in the bottom side of the map. Most likely going to get vision and push that bottom tower down. We saw we're down to about a third of its hit points. So for Fnatic, the name of the game is going to be control the pit to secure the second Dragon. They had a very, very safe objective secure fairly recently, and it looks like they're setting themselves up again.
Certainly going to try Hylissang clearing out one of those Rek'Sai tunnels, but they're still littered around the backside, and Reignover chance to make another one in just a moment. The Skull Crab Shrine in Fnatic's favor. And the Dragon still only half a minute away, but the Unicorns aren't keen on letting this one go for free.
Yeah, they didn't push the bottom lane either. YellowStar, because he went into ward, it actually gave Vardags some time to wave clear and push out towards Fnatic's side of the jungle. And that's probably, what, the third or the fourth pink ward that's been cleared out of that tri-bush. Fnatic have had very good defensive wards. Every time Unicorns have tried to make a play, they've been spotted out by Fnatic's vision, and it's allowing Fnatic to make the decisions. But they had a 2,000 gold lead, 5-10 minutes ago, and that's shrinking rapidly.
Hey, when you're able to get 30 gold, every one of those wards starts to add up, But Unicorns will grab a little bit back here, and they're actually the ones positioning for this dragon as it is live. So this is actually a small moment of opportunity for the Unicorns of Love, but they have to act fast. The bottom lane, everyone's starting to converge on this, and they might just actually trade for a turret.
Yeah, nobody from Fnatic was in place to challenge. It doesn't even look like they really want to contest this. Instead, they're going to trade it for a tower. I think that's a good call. It's also something they've done as a team, traded objectives. They now need to dodge the solar flare. If Hylissang decides to go in, Fnatic could be in trouble.
Yep, Huni, though, is trying to lead the charge as well, and they've actually started to corner him up there. Tibbers only going to land on Kikis, and here we go. Hylissang charging on forward. Reignover is low, and so is Hylissang, but he's the one that makes it out. Jump the waters on. YellowStar targeted down, fired. Vizicsacsi, Febiven having to flash away, and this fight has gone the Unicorns' way. 3-0. They charge down Fnatic, and now down the mid.
Unicorns of Love secured a safe dragon, and they managed to dodge around all of the engage that Huni put down. YellowStar's flash Tibbers, I think, only caught Kikis, and it just simply wasn't enough. We saw the Gnar from Huni not throw anybody into the wall. Unicorns have not given up. They're now on the inner turret, but we do have Reignover respawn. He's coming from behind.
Yeah, he is. He's going to look for Kikis. The knock-up Reignover. They might have stayed a little too long, but Reignover himself chunked a little bit low. Vizicsacsi now will Playful Trickster his way out of harm's way. So they do lose one here, but here comes Huni, a teleport on the backside. They're going to find Vizicsacsi, and Huni will take him down. Vardags should be soon to follow with the auto attacks. Double kill for Huni, and just like that, it looked like the game was wide open, but Fnatic answer back with 3 kills of their own.
Yeah, but can they take the tower? There's a minion wave pushing up behind them. Let's see if they stick around. The mobility from Reignover's Rek'Sai, as well as the teleport from Huni, allow them to set up. They are getting damage down, but here comes Hylissang.
Yep, he's actually going a little bit too hard in the paint because PowerOfEvil was not able to fully back him up. Huni takes a couple of shots. That's enough to deter Fnatic from continuing to push, and this game is really starting to get bloody.
Yeah, back and forth, back and forth. Fnatic started that fight on the Unicorns. It didn't go their way, but luckily because they had their teleport up, as well as that Void Rush from Reignover's Rek'Sai, they were able to get behind the Unicorns of Love and punish them getting some kills. So that once again, Fnatic, they lose that little bit of ground. One step back, 2 steps forward is the way that it played out. But Unicorns showed you just how quickly they can melt through Fnatic. You see Reignover, he's gone mostly damage. He gets shredded very, very fast. So Fnatic get caught out of position again. They're just going to fall like a sack of bricks.
Yeah, gravity definitely not in their favor this time around. But the Unicorns of Love have not been without a few mistakes of their own. This gold game is extremely even right now, within 200 of each other, 2 towers to 2 towers, a dragon apiece. On paper, it looks so close, and that can only be good for the Unicorns.
Yeah, and something else we haven't highlighted, that's a Trinity Force Chachi, who's now potentially in trouble.
Tibbers yeah, the Tibbers did not connect. This time, YellowStar's had some missing issues. Hylissang, though, is stunned up for just a moment. Vizicsacsi jumping onto Reignover, Mega Gnar, and they take him down, keeping Reignover alive. And they'll dash back, but this is just, these are so close every time.
Very, very close indeed. The knock up there from Reignover, I think, keeping Chachi from killing him and taking him out. But yes, Trinity Force from Vizicsacsi, you see how much damage he puts down, even in that one, what was it, a 1v3 throughout the extended fight. PowerOfEvil's got himself a Needlessly Large Rod, as well as Abyssal Scepter. Considering GFG's gone, that's not too unusual to see the change.
Everything missed in this one. The Solar Flare goes down, the Fish goes wide, the Tibbers just kind of pops down. I mean, what?
But again, look at all of the damage that Vizicsacsi was putting down with just that Trinity Force. You give him more time, and if Reignover doesn't get more tanky, there is the potential for him to blow somebody up, but he needs to hit the Chum the Waters. If that had connected, would have been a dead member of Fnatic.
Yeah, you mentioned the Trinity Force a few times, and I think it's kind of hard to overstate the fact that they've got 2 of them on their side. They've got a whole hell of a lot of AP between 4 champions in this game. And there's not a lot of magic resist outside the Hex Drinkers and the Athenes on the side of Fnatic. Also, when they do group up, PowerOfEvil, he goes that first item, Abyssal Scepter, to try and prevent this one, and now starting to make his presence known in the bottom lane, keep this tower alive for just a moment.
Yeah, this is actually a little scary. With PowerOfEvil using his rush, there was the risk of a gank, but Reignover's gone backwards.
Yep, and actually it's Vardags who's the target for this one. A little bit low, and he gets blown up. Reignover gets the kill after the collateral damage from Steelback comes in. Hylissang will walk it out, but still, it's dangerous to go alone.
Yeah, absolutely everybody piled in there onto Vardags and Hylissang. Now Fnatic are re-engaging here on this mid-inner turret. They did a lot of damage on it earlier down, and Febiven's just looking for a target. Remember, there's a numbers advantage for Fnatic, but I think Tibbers actually had already gone down in that previous engage, so that hard CC not available, especially with Huni backing away and making off.
Yeah, the counter engage is pretty terrifying here from Unicorns. Of course, they've also got the solar flare up in that one, so wisely backing away makes a lot of sense, but they've been able to pick little kills here and there, keep themselves in a slight lead over the Unicorns of Love, but they have to start grabbing more objectives than this. It's 2-2 in the tower game, and that is about as even as it gets.
Yeah, 1,000 gold separating him, 20 minutes. Unicorns again putting on a great fight. I want to really see how this Fizz continues to play out, because Vizicsacsi as a player has got the faith of his team that when he feels he's found a counterpick to a champion, they let him run with it. You think of, you know, the Swain into Maokai from last year, for example. And I'm still impressed with how much damage he's getting out, but it hasn't been game-changing. Reignover's now finished himself a Warmog, so it's going to be even more difficult to just completely blow him up.
Well, the good question was this picked for necessarily the lane matchup? Because, of course, Fnatic goes for the lane swap in this situation, and that's kind of all negated. Or is it for something else?
My estimation would have been for the laning, but it didn't work out that way. Fnatic kept roaming around. They had a lot of support from YellowStar. Huni, you know, avoided that tower dive, and Vizicsacsi, he's farming very well, but he never got the time he needed to go 1v1 against his opposite number. Remember, last Dragon Fnatic did not challenge. They were not grouped, and I think they made the right decision to not, you know, commit to a fight they weren't ready for. Huni's backing away. He's got teleports available, as does Vizicsacsi.
Ooh, YellowStar.
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, he's got to be really, really careful. You know, his any play in weeks 1 and 2 was pretty fantastic, and Fnatic had snowballed their way to a lead, but this time around, he has been looking a bit shaky, missing Tibbers shots, taking too many skill shots, and here we go, Dragon started up.
It's also fair to say Unicorns of Love have got a lot of mobility. Teleport from
Huni. Oh, there was the Tibbers as soon as I said it! Steelback coming up with a pick on it, Kikis and Hylissang trying to stay alive. A little bit of help from PowerOfEvil, but he goes down all the same. Vizicsacsi late to the party. Steelback barely gonna go down. PowerOfEvil falling as well. It is a 4-for-2 trade. Can they make the ace? I think so. With a Gnar against the wall, Fnatic comes up with an ace for 2.
Such great play from Huni, flashing over the wall and stunning, managing to get the connection. So ace against Unicorns of Love all started from YellowStar's engage. We talked about the mobility of Unicorns. It doesn't matter when you are completely pincered in. The teleport from the ward over on the right-hand side of the screen allowed Huni to get all of the pressure he needed, and it just gave YellowStar a great place to land the Tibbers and keep Unicorns in place. Just pay attention to the zoning. You've got Reignover and Febiven coming from the back. Teleport is cutting off exit to the right, and just really, really good pincer move. It's difficult to pull that off because Fnatic have to go in at exactly the right time, and they managed to make it work in this particular fight. Despite the fact Steelback goes down, it doesn't matter because Fnatic get 5, lose 2, and go on to secure the Dragon.
Yeah, and not only that.
Such a great stun.
Massive pick in that situation. The Dragon's great for them. The fight was fantastic for them. The teleport timing, I think, made all the difference in that case because Vizicsacsi got way too late to the party. 2 of his teammates were already dead by the time he'd started the channel of that one, and it just seems Fnatic are operating at some kind of telepathic link that the Unicorns aren't quite having access to.
That is one thing that Fnatic, I think, are doing better than anything else. Their team fighting and their coordination, especially when if you watch Primetime League and you listen to the mic check, when these guys are in team fights, they yell. They're really loud, and it doesn't sound like it's very controlled, but the team fights are just executed so well. And this particular game, Fnatic showed they can understand lane swaps, they can understand jungle weaknesses, they can punish Unicorns of Love over commitment, and that's why Fnatic are still in the lead this game.
Yeah, you know, there's got to be a reason why. We saw, of course, Daler on the desk earlier on just very confident in his team's ability to come together like this, and it's not just because of their record that he's like that. You got to give a lot of credit to YellowStar, but also to the entire team for just being able to come together as a unit and operate on that level. No, they've made a few mistakes, but they've been far less serious than most of the teams in this league.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I think that Fnatic now need to decide how do they get a lead with their team comp. They've got the ability to find picks, the ability to blow somebody up. When they played against Rockats, it was a 50-plus minute game that stalled out in the mid-game because Fnatic, that's a lot of damage.
Boy. Not quite enough to blow him up, but very close.
Stalled out in the mid-game because Fnatic were unable to find a kill and then push a tower. So let's see if they can do better this time. It was Woolite being caught out of position and being soloed by Reignover that allowed them to win the game that time round. And this time, Fnatic have got a wave, and they're just going to go get this inner towers.
Reignover, I think he wanted to go a little farther than that one, but they're really able to dodge this out as they push on this turret.
Yeah, and I think we need to see how well Unicorns can defend. They've got great wave clear from Ahri and from Corki with the new movement speed on Ahri. He's even safer when throwing out those orbs of deception. And you see how quickly that aggressive play stalls out. Fnatic need to find an opening. They can do it through deep wards, or they can do it through catching somebody out of position.
We definitely have a few options, a few bags, a few tricks in their bag, as the Unicorns of Love try to defend on multiple fronts here. They are massing up quite well, and again, the counter engage from them is still nothing to sneeze at. And Fnatic, respecting that, will back away. Still a gold lead for them. But the Unicorns have turned a couple of fights this game so far.
So I want to go back to a theory that we said right at the beginning of the game. Fnatic, they tend to just play this very, very aggressive, sort of kill-focused game style. And they're actually continuing to demonstrate that. They're continuing to show that they want to look for picks, they want to look for kills. And you know, Pyro, we were talking about it beforehand. It's actually somewhat similar to a Millennium in that they only tend to push down objectives once they've got kills. They only look to push down towers once they got kills. You look at Copenhagen Wolves last week, Soren was split pushing on his Zed, and then they were looking for objectives. Fnatic have not tried that similar sort of option just yet.
Yeah, oh, YellowStar, though, he runs headlong into Vizicsacsi, who tries to take him down, but Reignover, and the team is there. He lives yet again. And everyone from the Unicorns having to back away. Vardags extremely low in that as well.
Vizicsacsi needs to get multiple auto attacks off in an engage because of his build. With Hexdrink and Triforce, he's a lot more reliant on getting multiple autos down to get the damage. If he had gone all AP, the burst may have been enough to kill YellowStar, but he didn't, so it didn't happen. Fnatic get the kill, and they get a tower once more.
Yeah, Dragon's a minute and a half away as well. It's going to start being something they're going to look towards, but actually moving in the general direction of the Baron pit right now, looking to maybe set up some bait. And, you know, there is a certain brush that's synonymous with their name. Oh, not going to fall for it this time, though.
Not this time around, but we do see Hylissang going in.
Yeah, he's done it before, though. He goes a little too far forward as Febiven picks up a kill. Steelback, extremely low Huni as well. They've got to beat the retreat out of this one from the Corki Rockets, and Unicorns can't grab anything for that.
No, and another very, very good fight. First and foremost, Reignover got into the backline, knocked up a few members of Unicorns of Love. That was then swapped out with Huni, who was then interfering. So yes, Hylissang went deep, but the Unicorns, they had threats to deal with. They had Reignover with a multi-man knockup. They then had Huni in their face, threatening to go Mega Gnar. So Fnatic are punishing Unicorns again and again and again, but they're also making sure that their champions are blocking Unicorns from engaging.
Yeah, and this, I think, is one of the perfect ways to deal with the Unicorns' unchecked aggression, is just being able to make sure that whenever they do something, and they will do something, they will try to make a play 9 times out of 10, that they're able to punish it. Now Fnatic on the Baron. This is still a bit risky. It's a smite fight if Kikis wants to go for it, but look, they're not even trying, and there's not a lot of great positioning there. This is going to be free.
No vision from Unicorns of Love, no contest, just completely rushed down, and the perfect decision to make. Even if Chachi wanted to get involved, he still had to use that teleport, and PowerOfEvil was in the top lane. So, caught napping. I think that's the problem the Unicorns have. They're falling further and further behind. They don't have the vision they need to be trying to push those lanes, and they're just trying to hold on with what little control they have.
And they weren't even able to try and really start this dragon. And notice now Hylissang is going to try to salvage the situation, but Huni already in Mega Gnar form. He's going to completely whiff the solar flare. Here comes the rest of the unicorns, and they're going to try to save the play. Hylissang already out. Steelback extremely low. Vardags is going to manage to pick up the kill. Huni now low as well, and here comes Vizicsacsi with the assassination as Vardags picks up a double kill and then shut down Vizzy. Oh, Febiven goes big, but the fight's not over yet. Reignover, he's going to get collapsed on. They shut him down, and somehow that fight goes the Unicorn's way. This should be their dragon, of course.
Super sloppy fight from Fnatic. They were not split up. Huni's Gnar did not stun anybody against a wall. And simply put, Unicorns of Love were able to find the squishy targets of Fnatic and kill them one by one by one. This is a reverse of the previous dragon fight. Look at how Unicorns of Love engage once again from multiple fronts. You've got Vardags and Kikis pulling both Reignover and Huni together. And once Huni's Mega Gnar doesn't stun anybody and times out, Unicorns just completely commit to this fight. And Fnatic are split up. They can't get focused down onto the carries because there's so much damage coming from the Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, and they'd already spent their spell rotations on Hylissang. This time he kind of out mind game them a little bit by just saying, oh, I'm going to go in. Everyone thinks I'm going in and going to get blown up. But he gets away, and then they don't have any chance. And Reignover goes a little far trying to pick a kill here, but he just gets caught by a charm, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah, ends up being shut down. 3-on-1's always going to be difficult, regardless of how juicy Hylissang's Leona may have looked. So second dragon of the game, it's actually very important to delay Fnatic from getting closer to 5th, but it isn't a massive swing in gold or power. Fnatic still have the gold lead, they still have the map control, and they're still bullying Unicorns of Love. The fact that Unicorns gave up that dragon Baron earlier is proof to just how disconnected the Unicorns of Love are from the map play, and they need to get better wards to prevent that happening again.
But just as we were talking about Fnatic earlier in the day and how they're, can they maintain this 4-0 record? Can they show some strategic diversity? The problem is they've done it now, but it's not quite refined against the Unicorns. Part of it is just the way that they're facing down the Unicorns comp. It's a very different type of team play and team composition, but you'd think with the way that they played the last 2 weeks, the execution here is just, it doesn't look like the same team.
When you look at, the way that Unicorns are fighting, it's a little sloppy here and there, but they're still keeping themselves relevant. They're 6 kills down, they've still got 3 towers, they've only given up 1 extra. I also wonder about this Vizicsacsi build. He's now got a Cutlass, the makings of a Blade of the Ruined King. You have to think again, this is to somewhat counter the Gnar, somewhat counter his high hit points. Stick to him with the Blade active and your Urchin Strike, the Playful Trickster. But if Vizicsacsi gets focused and blown up by a LeBLanc, by an Ahri, he's not going to get enough auto attacks off in a team fight to be relevant. So we really need to see how impactful this mid to late game Fizz will be, because it's a very non-traditional build in the LCS.
Yeah, well, in a very non-traditional position as well. I think for the Unicorns, it's really banking on how long they can buy time and spell aggro from Hylissang, because he's been able to get in everyone's business, sometimes get out. He's been blown up on a couple of occasions, but that last time it worked out quite well for them.
Yeah, look at the investment that Fnatic put into that top inner turret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we're talking 7, 8 wards in the top half of the jungle. And Unicorns of Love were able to wave clear that last engage, wave clear against the pressure Fnatic put down. And you've got all of this investment in time and resources. There's 1 Sightstone on the side of Fnatic. So that's quite a lot of gold invested into a strategy that did not pay off, into a decision and map play that has not worked out. Let's see if they can keep it up though, because Baron should be respawning in the not too distant future. Some of those wards should still be around. It's my timing completely terrible, but it's all of this vision that's going to waste, so to speak, until Fnatic start making use of it again.
Yeah, big chunk of damage taken out of Hylissang. He'll have to back away from this one, but Fnatic right now are just stringing Unicorns of Love around the map, forcing them to answer wherever they may be. There's nothing else neutral objective-wise for them to take, but they should be able to grab this top turret because there's really no answer here. It's actually going to be the Unicorns pushing in a wave to the mid side, and here we go, teleport.
Fnatic have decided not to push the top turret. They want to try catch the Unicorns out. This could be either fantastic or abysmal. If the Unicorns of Love get this tower, they're melting through with the damage. Fnatic are so late to this party.
They can grab the inhibitor too. Huni can't push this one off. It could be a dangerous fight. However, they've got to the backline, blowing Kikis so low. However, he makes it out. They grab the inhib. They're going to stay alive. Well, not for Hylissang at least. Can they get out though, or can they get the damage? Vizicsacsi trying to chase down Steelback, but he's getting blown up himself. All the same, 2 kills, and they trade for an inhibitor. Still on the run. Here comes Kikis. As Huni assassination. Can they do it? Just about. Not quite enough damage. There we go. Kikis finds it. Febiven should be able to clean someone up, and he actually ends up going for Vardags. Can they get even more? Yes. 4 for 1. Very messy escape by Unicorns, but they grab an inhibitor, and there's no time for Fnatic to really do much with these death timers. Let's take a look at that again.
Absolutely no time at all. Very, very good engage from YellowStar on the back, and pay very careful attention to how many auto attacks Vizicsacsi gets off. It's way more than I was expecting, but he's not able to solo Steelback. They keep trading back and forth. Yes, Steelback does flash and summon a heal and has got the support of his teammates, but that was 4 or 5 autos out of Vizicacsi's Fizz. Fnatic were too late to get back to the inhibitor defense, so despite them winning the team fights, they actually lose control of the map. They have super minions pushing in the middle lane. Their waves are about to die out in the top and the bottom, so that's going to allow the side of Unicorns of Love to push both top, middle, and bottom. You can see it's reset. Bottom wave is pushing against Fnatic. Unicorns have now completely asserted control of the map thanks to that inhibitor push, despite giving up all the kills.
Yeah, and now they're actually going to try to grab a little bit more vision on their side. Over by the Baron Pit, it does respawn. 5 seconds till the Dragon as well, so everything out on the table. Fnatic are going to have to make a move. Let's see which cards they play, but Unicorns of Love, they're already clearing vision out of the Baron Pit. Yeah,
and you know, you look, once again, you look at the different champions. 4 out of the 5 roles for Fnatic are playing champions for the first time that we're seeing them in the LCS. They're not as in sync. They're not as on point. Fnatic have gained footing and lost footing multiple times. And now Unicorns of Love have grouped up much more confidently. They're much deeper into the map, and they're looking for an engage. Keep your eyes on Hylissang to go in.
Oh, YellowStar's caught though. They land the solar flare down, but there isn't quite enough follow-up. The Timbers will come down as Kikis picks the kill. Hylissang flashing over the wall to stay alive in this one. And the worst time from Gnar. Vizicsacsi able to walk it out as Urf helps finish off that kill. PowerOfEvil with the pickup, and it is a 1-for-2 trade, but it is in favor of the Unicorns of Love as they close that gold gap little by little.
You could see from the positioning of Unicorns that they wanted to engage. They were grouped as 5. They were very deep in the river, and the moment YellowStar presented himself, he got taken out. Uncontested Dragon for the Unicorns of Love. Fnatic are too slow to respond, and this vision of the Baron Pit. I don't think they're going to go for this. If anything, maybe take out the pink wards would be the smart option. But Unicorns of Love, keeping themselves in it, despite being down in gold, they are putting up a fantastic fight against the league's #2 team.
Yeah, right now, taking a look at how that fight did pan out, YellowStar is really able to not do much of anything until his team shows up, and even then.
And look at the hesitation from Unicorns of Love. Kikis didn't jump over the wall. Vardags wasn't going to jump over the wall because they were going to jump into the middle of a Fnatic squad. So Hylissang was sort of the sacrificial lamb, so to speak. But Unicorns group up after the fact. After Fnatic have blown their engage and their cooldowns, then Unicorns say, right, now we're willing to position ourselves in and amongst your champions. They go in, get some damage, and actually come out with a 2-for-1 trade.
Yeah, the tag team fighting here from the Unicorns has really been throwing Fnatic through a loop, but again, they just don't seem that comfortable on these champions, on this style of team play. And you can see that, you know, they were so dominant earlier. Huni gets caught now and should go down if Hylissang wants to finish. No, solar flares down. They will not find enough damage as Gnar comes up at the last moment, but PowerOfEvil has enough in the reserve to finish him off. And as we're saying it, Unicorns, a little bit of razzle-dazzle for another couple of kills.
Hylissang, Leona in lane, not particularly amazing. Hylissang, Leona in the mid to late game, fantastic. Those are 2 consecutive back-to-back plays. They've caught members of Fnatic, and Hylissang has set his team up for success.
And now they're going to get the Baron.
Are not contesting Baron. Instead, they're going to try push the map. They might be able to get a bottom in a turret if they decide to go that route, but they've got to be so careful because they've got an exposed inhibitor lane if Unicorns wanted to push in that route.
Yeah, they're going to have super minions at their back as well, and actually they look like they're more interested in just tanking up this tower itself. Actually, Fnatic are going to call the bluff. They're going to not get bluffed. They're going to actually back away from this one. There was the defense from Vizicsacsi there clearing the minion waves. This is danger zone right now for Fnatic as the Unicorns of Love are threatening the second one. Here comes YellowStar, however, he's going to get just melted by this Unicorns team. Hylissang goes down. Support for support is traded. Teleport now coming in for Vizicsacsi. Can they finish up this inhibitor? They are so powerful in this one, but Fnatic, they've got some damage here. Still really dangerous. QuickShot.
Yeah, inhibitor's still alive. Unicorns are love. They're not relenting. They are going to get the inhibitor, and they're going to back away.
No, they're going to move, actually, it looks like, over to the other inhibitor exposed in the middle. They've not got the minion waves, but they're going to try to chunk this one down. This is just way too much damage. They grab a second, barely take any damage. Look at that, Febiven. He's afraid to check in.
Does not want to contest. Unicorns now, super minions in 2 lanes, have completely arrested control of this game. You go back to the start of the day, and Sheepy was sitting on the desk next to Fnatic's coach, and he said, yes, we have what it takes to win. YellowStar jumps into the fight and got instantly charmed. He never even got Tibbers down because of how quick PowerOfEvil responded to that flash. YellowStar then got caught out, obviously, by the Leona stuns and just burst down. Unicorns of Love have performed phenomenally in the last 5 minutes. They've survived long enough to get their damage down, and now Vizicsacsi's even tanky enough to get even more auto attacks during the course of a team fight.
Not only that, but they have really forced Fnatic to spend so many of those crucial ultimates on Hylissang. He's put himself in the front, the exact definition of a meat shield. And it's been so hard for Fnatic to answer back this relentless aggression from the Unicorns when they've blown all those spells.
35 kills in 40 minutes. It's been non-stop. And traditionally, for the first 30 minutes, it was Fnatic coming out ahead. But the Unicorns, now they've got their items, they're in a better position.
It's about the only thing traditional about this game. QuickShot is another tower. It's fired down. 8-5 is that score. The Unicorns have been in the lead a couple of times, but this one is starting to look like the big one for them. 2 inhibitors fired down. There's a teleport in the back, though. Huni is going to look to try to collapse, but this tower is already at half health. It's almost going to go down. They back away at the last moment. Huni, he uses Gnar on PowerOfEvil. They're going to maybe blow him up. No, Zanya's Hourglass on. Reignover goes down. Huni, Hylissang locking up the back line. Towers are falling and all of the craziness. Steelback has to flash out of the way, and Huni, he bails out even in Gnar form. Reignover down, inhibitor open. Have the Unicorns done it? They have all 3 inhibitors looking to push in. Where can they go from here? No minions just yet, but they can take all the time they want.
They've got a few champions yet to deal with, 5 versus 4, but the Unicorns want to give Fnatic their first loss.
Yeah, Hylissang is going down here. Febiven, maybe that's a little bit of life revitalized in them, but they've got such a long way to climb without any inhibitors. Those double super minions are pushing on in. Unicorns are going to back away from this one, but guess what? Dragon's up in a minute. They're looking good. Let's take a look at that again.
Ticking time bomb. Unicorns threw absolutely everything into this fight, even with a 3-man knockup from Reignover and Huni stunning PowerOfEvil against the wall. The problem is Hylissang zoned away Steelback, and Febiven didn't commit to get damage down. So yes, Reignover and Huni, you've done a great job of locking people up, but they're not damage dealers. They did not put it down. So Fnatic do not come away. That was a last-ditch, do-or-die team fight, and they lost it. Ticking time bomb before Unicorns of Love wait for those super minions to pour into Fnatic's base, and with their help, should be able to close this game out.
It's definitely going to be some time before those inhibitors come back up. Fnatic have to shore up all their defenses, and actually not even positioning right now around the Dragon. Unicorns are just going to take everything away from the Fnatic jungle here, starting with this red buff, moving together, trying to slip and slide around any defenses that Fnatic might have left.
This unconventional Fizz pick, I'm still somewhat on the fence about it. It took a very long time to power up, and Fnatic didn't really punish a big weakness in Vizicsacsi's mid-game. But we've seen how impactful he's been now that he's using that playful trickster, getting Chumble Waters down and just causing a nuisance for Fnatic. The mobility and multiple auto attacks just over and over and over. And of course, Hylissang's Leona just been great. So, Super Minions pouring in, Unicorns of Love. Let's see if they focus the champions or the towers. They've got the options available.
Yeah, they're just letting the minions, start pushing in on these right now. Huni trying to frontline all this, but he's already at half his health, forced to bounce away. Febiven trying to go in. Solar Flare's going to connect the fish. Does not, but they've got a lot of damage in Huni. Pushing Hylissang back. There we go. PowerOfEvil pretty low in this one. Steelback going to spend his ultimate to try and force them back, but one tower is down. YellowStar now in a bit of trouble himself as the spear connects. Second tower gonna go down. It's nothing but the Nexus. Have the Unicorns done it? It looks like it. Fnatic is mortal after all, and the Unicorns of Love take a win in week 3.
Fnatic have fallen, and the Unicorns of Love are ecstatic. Look at them jumping for joy. A deserved win in the late game. They stalled out long enough, and they had very good comeback team fights. Despite some mistakes in the early game and sort of the mid game, Sheep, massive grin in his face. He sat there in the beginning of the day and said, I'm quite confident. I think we've got what it takes. He just proved it.
Yeah, absolutely. The Unicorns of Love, they didn't necessarily change their style too much, but they were able to come back, they were able to make enough plays, and they were able to shut down Fnatic in a much more methodical way than we thought possible. No massive standouts either in KDA. They all just worked together as a unit. In all of that, Febiven didn't die. A 9-0-5 score would usually denote somebody on the winning team, but not this time.
Yeah, 9-0-5 was a great performance, but the problem is it just wasn't concentrated. Your team's got 21 kills. Yes, you're involved in a large portion of them, but it simply was at the wrong time in the wrong places. These are very stern, very serious looks on the members of Fnatic. And, you know, if you actually step back and look at the whole game holistically, both squads had individual and team mistakes. It was a fairly sloppy game. I use that term quite loosely because the swings in power was back and forth, and it was overcommitments and missteps. Think of Unicorn's tower dive, completely whiffed.
The fights definitely were, and some of the decision-making, especially in the early game, was, I would say, a bit questionable, but here the Unicorns were able to pull it out. Fnatic, you know, 4-1 is not a bad start to a team that is 4 out of 5 new members, a completely new roster overhaul, and they got to hand it to them for making as far as they did without a loss, but now it's SK that sits alone in that undefeated category.
Unicorns of Love.